Hearing none, all in favor of approving the agenda as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries. Next is the approval of the June 30th County Board Infrastructure Report presentation on July 7th. A motion would be in order. We have a motion by Commissioner Davis with support to approve the June 30th board meeting and the July 7th County Board Infrastructure Report presentation. Is there any corrections, additions, or deletions to the minutes of either of these meetings from the audience here in the building or online? Or commissioners, any corrections, additions, or deletions? Commissioner Davis?
There is no note that I was absent from that meeting, although there was a list of present and absentees. I was not there and my name was not on the list.
Okay, we'll get that corrected. Any other corrections, additions, or deletions? Vice Chair Stayhauer?
I don't believe it's a correction addition, but supervisor at Texas Township spoke. I have my memories right at County Commission. It should be in their minutes regarding tree removal and safe streets for all. And I didn't notice that in our minutes. It wouldn't necessarily be part of our minutes. That's all.
That's also noted that Supervisor O'Rourke did speak in favor of the Safe Streets for All program at the county board. So noted. Any other corrections, additions, or deletions or comments, commissioners? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the June 30th board meeting minutes and the July 7th County Board Infrastructure Report presentation, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries. Next is payroll and vendor accounts. Approval of the payroll and vendor accounts. Payroll of $242,042.94 and vendor accounts of $767,877.37. A motion would be in order.
So moved, Thompson. Support.
We have a motion by Commissioner Thompson with support to approve the payroll and vendor accounts as presented. Is there any questions about the payroll and vendor accounts from the audience here in the building or online or commissioners? Vice Chair Stayhauer.
Where do I get a job where I can work 150 hours in 2 weeks? Just compliments to our staff. I'm being a little sarcastic there, but many of our staff, we had a long holiday weekend. If you look at the hours worked from some of our road work staff, no doubt storms impacted things, but I see a lot of 120 at the peak, 150, maybe 1 or 2 people. There's a heavy workload due to construction, due to storm cleanup. And it was a holiday weekend besides. So thank you, staff.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Any other comments, commissioners, on the payroll and vendor accounts? Questions? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the payroll and vendor accounts as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries. Next is the approval of expense reports. The only expense report is Commissioner Stayhauer. Could answer your question in 1 second. Commissioner Kennedy. It is $35.95. It looks like. A motion would be in order.
So moved, Thompson.
We have a motion by Commissioner Thompson with support to approve Commissioner Stayhauer's expense report. Is there any discussion on Commissioner or Vice Chair Stayhauer's expense report from the audience here in the building or online or commissioners?
So they should add that.
Commissioner Kennedy, turn your mic on.
They should add that amount to the report.
To the payroll vendor accounts?
Minutes.
The minutes. Thank you, sir.
Oh, okay. We can talk about that in the future, adding those in the putting them in the minutes. Yep.
We've done them before.
We know, I don't think we've ever done them before. So, but that would be a new thing, and I'm sure we're not opposed to doing something like that. Commissioner Gisler has often asked those questions in the past, so we'll thank him for his frugality. Any other discussion, commissioners? Hearing none, all in favor of approving Commissioner Stayhauer's expense report, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries. This brings us to public comment on non-agenda items. This is an opportunity for the public to speak on non-agenda items. You have 3 minutes. If you just state your name and address. You can speak on any non-agenda. It's your opportunity to address the board. This is not a back and forth, but come up to the podium. We'll get the microphone on, and there'll be a timer on the Zoom here that we'll be able to count down. So your name and address?
My name is Chuck Culver. I live at 8105 AB Avenue. Here today in regards to the work that's being done on my road. Some problems that I have had is they started this way back in, I think, April. And once they got the dirt put down on top of the asphalt that was already there, it got really dusty. And I called the road commission and I've talked to you, sir. And it took them a while to get out there to put the dust control down, which was promised, but they never graded it before they put the dust control down. It was a washboard then. It's even worse now. The second issue that I have is I was told by John, I can't remember his last name, who was the project manager. One day a work crew came out there and they were starting to dig ditches and put in culverts under the driveways. I asked the company that was doing it not to put one under mine. I already have a ditch. I've never had problems with water holding back and impacting the road. And he said he would have to talk to somebody. He could not just not do it. Short time later, John came down and we talked. He was very polite. He told me it was the policy of the road commission that when they're doing the roads, that they're going to ditch everything and they're going to put culverts under the driveways that didn't have them. I told him the same thing. I already have a ditch. I've never had a water problem where it impacts the road. He said, that's the rules. I said, okay. They put it in and now they have steepened my ditch so much that I'm not sure that I can even mow it without tipping my lawnmower over. And as I said, he told me that they were going to ditch the entire road where they were going to do the double chip sealing. I can show you a big area right next to me where 3 driveways, they did not put culverts in, they did not ditch the road. I would ask any one of you commissioners, if you want to make an appointment with me to come out, I'll be happy to show you what I'm talking about. And then the final, well, not quite the final thing, but because my driveway was paved, they had to tear out the part next to the road, which I understand to put the culvert in. And I was told by John that they will put in 1 layer of asphalt. When they come and do the double chip sealing, then they'll come back and finish my driveway, paving it, so that they get the grade right from my driveway to the road. Yesterday, the company was out there and put the 2nd layer of pavement on my driveway. They haven't double chip sealed the road yet, so I don't know where my grade is going to end up at. If right now it's level with the road, so, and I don't know how much double chip sealing adds to the height. In leaving, I would like to say you guys did an excellent job on Drake Road in front of Kalamazoo Central. I like to leave with a positive thing, but you did an excellent job on Drake Road, and I thank you for that because I drive that road quite a bit. So if Commissioner would be happy to get in touch with me and come out and see me, I'd be happy to sit down and talk to him.
Yep, make sure you write your name and address on the back
I do.
sign-in sheet. Yep, very good. Will somebody be
Bartholomew, I've talked to you a few times on the phone. It's nice to meet you.
Thank you. Next, anybody else want to speak on a non-agenda item?
Same situation. I live on his neighbor next door,
Name and address.
8219 AC Avenue, West AB Avenue. Name is Bob DePaul. I spoke to Mr. Davis here not too long ago on the situation. They started this on April 21st. No notification whatsoever. Nobody ever said a word. Why do they not have a timeline that tells you when they're going to start this project and what they're going to do, the estimated times, and when it's going to be finished? The only thing I ever received was paperwork on what they were going to do with the trees. They wanted to know what I wanted to do with the wood that was in the trees. That's crazy. This project's been going on, what, 3 months now, almost? And we're only 1.25 miles long. And just like Mr. Culver just said, they just put and I talked to John about this. He said they put the road in first and then they make the grade of the driveway to the road. They're doing just exactly the opposite of what they said they were going to do. This project's been a mess. Just like he said, we were told everyone on that road was going to get a culvert. There's 5 places that did not get a culvert. Mr. Verhage, I don't know that anybody, you guys know Don Verhage. He was a police officer here in Kalamazoo. They lived down the road from me. Don just passed away not too long ago. They put a beautiful, nice cement driveway in. They come in there and cut the driveway out, put a culvert in, didn't put a culvert in. Why is that? There's some places got double culverts wide. I just asked when they're asphalting, I asked them to, because they put the culverts in. I had culverts in. I was one of the only ones in the whole road that had culverts in because I got a driveway permit when I built my house 32 years ago. Okay. So I said, why are you taking mine out? Oh, we have to. This is the project. So you're cutting my driveway and this and that. So they put the culverts in are now 10 foot wider than what the culverts were that I had in there and what most driveways have. So I asked them to expand the asphalt out to come out to the edges. Oh no, they put top dirt in there for 5 feet of it on both sides. And I don't want to have grass in there. Well, every time a big truck comes in there, like my propane truck or whatever, they're going to cut that short and then they're going to mess that dirt up. I mean, because it's just soft dirt. You know, there's nothing hard there to form it. My old tubes got bent over because of that situation, people coming around too short. And so having a little bit longer didn't bother me a bit, as long as they were going to put gravel all the way to the end or asphalt, because I got 2 of these culverts. I have 2 driveways. So anyways, that's my complaint at the point. When they took out, I had a 200-year-old oak tree they took out. But anyways, when they took that out, they had this guy with a grinder come in there. His diameter of his grinder was probably about that big around. He went in there, and as he's grinding, the chips kept coming up, and so he had tracks on it. He kept riding up and up and up. I was out there in the rain, digging the chips out of the way so he could get down deep enough, and he still didn't. After he was gone, I couldn't keep up with him, to be honest with you. So they had to hire him to come back again and do that. Meanwhile, I had a stack of roots that I had taken. I got a backhoe. So I went out there and I dug the roots and stuff out so I could form some type of a nice area that I could actually mow instead of a rutted up mess that they left.
Yeah. I'm afraid your time has expired. There will be another opportunity later. There'll be another opportunity later in the meeting. You can speak again.
Okay.
And make sure you put your name and address on the sign.
It's out there.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak on a non-agenda item?
Hello, Road Commissions. My name is Chandra Kinney, and I'm here representing the Kalamazoo Conservation District as their district manager. I'm here simply to extend collaboration, as our mission is working with our community to protect, conserve, and restore the natural resources of Kalamazoo County. Thus, from native tree plantings to stormwater mitigation projects, we would love to work collaboratively with our associate governing bodies, including you guys, our Road Commissions. So thank you so much, and I hope to talk with you all more soon.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being here.
Hi, my name is Cindy Johnson. I live at 12568 South 18th Street in Vicksburg. The pictures I'm sending out, last month I had the pleasure of visiting my daughter in Wilmington, North Carolina. She suggested that we visit Arley Gardens. These pictures show the old oaks with the Spanish moss hanging from them. Very amazing to see and look at. It's wonderful to see these ancient trees revered and protected. As they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. I strongly urge all the commissioners here to take a drive for yourselves down these stretches of our rural roads slated for clear cutting to get a feel for yourselves what we are looking at and not just a snapshot picture. Secondly, I wanted to say I took a look again at the stats on your SS4A presentation on your website. Hoping my analysis and math hold water here, please review for yourselves. But you have on your graph 1,700 crashes a year, 5 fatal, 61 serious, for a total of 76. 80% occurring on our primary roads, which are rural roads. Of the 1,700 crashes, 1,700 times 80%, 1,360 accidents would have occurred on our rural roads. I also made an estimate, 76 fatal serious accidents times that 80%, approximately 61 fatal serious accidents on these roads. According to your numbers, 50% occur from lane departures. An important note, lane departures include moving across center line onto oncoming traffic, as well as leaving the side of the road. Fatal serious accidents leaving the side of the road include hitting a fixed object, pole, tree, or building, or a rollover. Let's say, I made the assumption half of these were from head-on collisions. 15 may have been from leaving the side of the road. My point is this: it is hard to come up with a number of fatal serious accidents actually caused by hitting a tree. I didn't see any real numbers listed on the website. I may have missed it because there's a lot of information caused by a tree. I just want to say we have to use caution with looking at numbers and statistics. They tell a story, but not always the full story. In closing, I wanted to say John Denver and the U.S. men's soccer team and millions of others can't be wrong. The song Country Road, Take Me Home to a Place I Belong, West Virginia or West Michigan.
Okay. I think we got one more, John. If there's anybody you'd like to speak, please line up so we can expedite speakers. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Susie Fitzgibbon. I live at 15651 Portage Road in Vicksburg. And I have nothing prepared today, but I came because this is very important to us on Portage Road and out in Schoolcraft Township. I think that you know that from seeing that even our Schoolcraft board supports that we are not in favor of removing, clear cutting trees on roads in Schoolcraft Township, only dead and diseased trees. I'd also like to say, I know that you are all appointed by Kalamazoo County government. If you think about 2,100 signatures that we have, I myself have been a federal employee. I've been a state employee. I've served on a city council in a larger town. If you have 2,100 people, you usually, for every one person that you know has an issue, there's probably 10 more that feel just like them. So I'd like to empower you as a board because, as I said at the Kalamazoo County Commission, you decide the policy. You decide what this gentleman does. That is your power. Please take it and listen to your public. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Gissler.
Thank you, Chair.
Yep.
I'm John Gissler. I am a county commissioner and I represent 5 of the 15 rural townships in Kalamazoo County. And I'm here to just give you an update on things that were on the county's mind. One, you are all aware, I'm sure, that Kevin Catlin, our administrator for the last 4 years, fantastic administrator. We're lucky we had him for 4 years because he's moving on to bigger and better things in Virginia. He will be filled in for by an interim administrator. You're probably aware of that too. That's Terrell Cole, who comes, he's been here, I think, a couple of years. And Kevin was able to steal him from the city of Cleveland. So he doesn't come without, some background, especially in the financial side of things. So it's very good that he's going to be taking over for a 6-month period to get us through the budgeting cycle and probably through the end of the year, I guess. Changing horses somewhat over personnel issues. I know that everybody's aware, some have maybe already voted absentee for the childcare millage. I support childcare 100%, but I don't think a millage is the way to go about it. The county has a budget this year of $325 million. We got to be able to find some money in there for childcare. And if we don't, we're not looking hard enough. It's a case of, we can't do everything for everybody all the time. And we're just going to have to start facing that music and dancing to that drummer. And I will say something, I don't know if it qualifies as being on your agenda, but my wife is a tree freak and all the good things that go with being that. And, oh, come on, have mercy. She wanted me to be sure to say something about the fact that you guys now seem to be showing some flexibility. The citizens are still willing to talk to you, still ready to talk to you, and you're ready to talk to them. I guess that's the more important side of it. The citizens can raise hell and you can ignore them, but you're not doing that. And I appreciate that. And I hope that we don't wind up leaving federal dollars on the table. I'm not sure of all the details. There are people in this room much more knowledgeable than I am. And I just am glad to see that the negotiations and discussions continue. You do what you can for the safety of the citizenry and do what you can to hang on to as many trees as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Gisler. All right, is there anyone online who would like to speak public comment on the non-agenda items? Seeing no one. All right, we will get into old business. Old business, item A, request discussion on the tree replacement policy, Managing Director.
All right, so this is actually the third board meeting we've had discussion related to a draft tree replacement policy. I'll just quickly summarize the details of this policy. First of all, it would be a cost-sharing policy as drafted. 50% would be from the road commission, and the other 50% participation would come from the resident, the property owner. Also, with these replacement, with this replacement program, there's in essence a one-for-one replacement. So for every tree that's removed as part of a project, there's an opportunity to replace that tree with that cost-sharing partnership between the road commission and the property owner. Also, there is the option on a federally funded grant type program for a replacement of 2 trees for every tree that's removed as part of those types of projects. As far as planting areas and spacing, there's also wording within the draft policy that explains that trees would have to be planted outside the road right away, but in the general vicinity of the tree that was removed. So along that roadside corridor, and also a general guideline for spacing of 50 feet between trees. Again, that's an approximate spacing. It's really dependent upon the species. Another thing I just wanted to make clear is any tree replacement as part of this policy would have to be part of a project. It could not be from a tree that fell during storm damage, emergency storm, or just simply maintenance activities. It'd have to be removed as part of a project. So I'll turn it back over to the chair for further discussion.
Sure. Or do we want to discuss it first, or the audience input first? Okay, we'll go ahead and do the audience. Is there anybody in the audience here in the building who'd like to speak on this proposed tree replacement policy? If so, you just give your name and address. You have 3 minutes.
Do you have a requirement for tree age?
Nope. Managing director, would there?
So currently we do not. This would be a new policy for us. So we'd have to set those parameters and guidelines for the size of the tree and the species that would be replaced.
And just so people who didn't hear, the question was, would there be an age requirement on the tree, correct? Yeah, thank you. All right, anybody else in the audience who'd like to speak on this proposed tree replacement policy? I see a speaker. No, we actually prefer that you come to the microphone so we can get it on the record. I'm sorry.
So once again, it's great. Oh, by the way, I'm Susie again. It's great that you've come up with this, but once again, there's no concrete, right? You can't tell us exactly what you're going to do. You've just talked about, oh, this is available from the federal government. Well, we don't know what the age of them are. I mean, we're not going to walk away just because this is an idea that we're trying to throw out there. Okay?
So please address your comments to the board.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yep. No.
To the board then.
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
Well, then
yeah.
okay, so he's setting a policy as a board. Do you know the policy? Do you know what the plan?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen the plan? Is it concrete? What the age of the trees are, where the money's coming from, what kind of trees they are? These are important questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to address the board? Anyone online wishing to address the board on the proposed tree replacement policy? Seeing none, commissioners, open it up for discussion, questions, comments. Commissioner Davis.
So I just wanted to, as we're looking at this, we are restricted as to how we can use some of this money that comes from our state allocations for the transportation fund. Is that 50% of the offer that we're making, is that part of what's is defined through the state funding mechanism that's outlined in Act 51?
Commissioner Davis, it is not. That was really the road commission partnering with the property owner for simply replacing the trees.
Okay.
So it's just our contribution is not tied to any guidelines to Act 51.
Okay. Yeah, but I think that the fact that we have to use it, we only can use the funds from Act 50 from the state allocation for tree replacement that we take down as part of projects, though. Is that part of what?
That is correct. So our staff verified with Michigan Department of Transportation that Act 51 does allow the road commission to participate in a tree replacement, but only if it's a replacement as part of a project.
Okay. And because I was hearing a lot of and feeling a lot from the public that 50% split it can be onerous for some folks. I think we need to work on some way to partner or find auxiliary funds or to have like a granting program, or if we could, for folks who may not have the financial wherewithal to make that contribution, find some way to make that more available, I guess. And whether we can do that by partnering with nonprofits or with other funding sources, I think that would be an important objective, as we try to go forward with this. So that's for now. I mean, that's all I have to say at the moment.
Sure. Other commissioners? Commissioner Thompson.
I concur with what he's saying. I think that we need to look into some other avenues before making a final decision. That's my opinion.
And basically, we're talking about finding some grant money and other sources of revenue to cover the 50% that the resident would have to pay, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay. Other discussion, questions, comments?
Chair.
Vice Chair?
I think mostly I've heard negative about this policy, that people are not interested in the replacement trees. As I've reflected on it, I think it's great if we do offer something like this, but I really am not pleased to see us spending MTF money, taking dollars away from winter maintenance, essential road maintenance, improving shoulders, improving, don't misunderstand me on clear zones here. I mean more the mowing, brush removal. We have many other issues in our budget looking for funding, and this would, so to speak, take away from those. I really think Kalamazoo County needs to step up the plate as a county. Don't throw stones at the road commission, so to speak, or tree limbs or trunks. But you know, I agree with the concept of partners. I'm pleased to see Conservation Service here, and they could be a partner. I see hundreds of trees going down around in our county, new site developments, be it municipal or private. People build pole barns. They take down 50 trees, clear a couple acres to put their pole barn in. If these trees are precious, don't misunderstand me, but I think there's a lot of focus put on the road commission here, and we're a really small player in this. We are a player, but we're not the prime mover in terms of foresting our county or sustaining it. So we have a couple county commissioners here. I hope you take that to heart. We have 2,000 signatures, so to speak, about trees. It's also about speeding, distracted drivers, unsafe conditions, unsafe driving. Those are not road commission functions. Remember, there's 2,000 signatures concerning those matters. It's being highlighted as trees. In my opinion, we need to change the script a little. Our mission is to provide safe roads for the traveling public, all the public. That's a primary role we have. And I'm not going to compromise good engineering. Proper engineering done well with public input. So anyway, I have reservations about this policy. I think it should be, the discussion should be continued in a broader platform with parties that could manage maintaining our forest cover in this county in other ways. Thank you.
Yeah. Sure, Davis? Yeah. Microphone.
The,
Mike.
thank you. Thank you for your comments. I think this is going to be an ongoing conversation. I think that, as the vice chair has mentioned, this should be a shared responsibility. We're a smaller player. We're like the 66 feet that we manage in the road corridor is a small component of the overall landmass of the county, and the county and the township might want to step up, as part of this. I think what it also displays is that, our other part of our mandate is to be stewards of that 66 feet as best as possible. In addition to maintaining the safe road surface. So I'm still in favor of having something that promotes continuing to expand our tree canopy and creating a healthy tree canopy. I mean, I've been pretty cognizant of the fact that we've had multiple genus level species events in our tree canopy in my lifetime. And I would like to see if we can't do something to help remediate that. We've lost all of our ash trees. At this point, we're starting to lose a lot of our oaks. The maples are under attack by other things. It's a dangerous world out there for trees right now. And if we can do what we can to foster more of a culture of planting trees and maintaining them outside the road our 66 feet. I don't think we should have trees within our 66 feet if possible, whenever that's possible. And I think that's the ideal condition, but to encourage the property owners who are adjacent to this to the right of way to be more cognizant of how their land also adds to the mix and can be a place for where tree covered roads can begin there rather than right next to the road, and start doing that now so that when my kids grow up, they can have, they can enjoy the beauty of tree covered roads the way we hope to and continue to. And at the same time, try to, work with our citizenry to maintain the trees that can be maintained as long as possible. But I think this is just a component of that of an overall policy we have regarding our tree cover. So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other comments, questions, commissioners? I'll just I want to read some of this. A couple of my thoughts first before I do read this, but I'm thinking I would like to do this. Commissioner Kennedy is going to be absent in 2 weeks, so I think possibly we bring this back in 4 weeks under new business to actually do something. In the meantime, we can work on looking for grants and other opportunities to help residents in a hardship situation. I think there should be some kind of means testing for this, for their 50% of the cost. But I also think we should do it like an 18-month pilot program and then come back in 18 months. Did this work? How well is it working? How much did it cost? Is it costing too much? And reevaluate it at that time. But just to be clear, I want to read this into the record so the audience here can hear this. But the Board of County Road Commissioners of the County of Kalamazoo has long recognized the importance of roadside trees in enhancing the county's aesthetic character, environmental health, and adjacent property values. As part of the board's continued commitment to balancing infrastructure improvements with environmental stewardship, staff has developed a draft tree replacement policy establishing a structured approach to tree replacement associated with road improvement projects. The proposed policy provides a cost-sharing framework under which the board may contribute up to 50% of the cost of replacement trees, with the remaining cost borne by the participating property owners. This approach supports responsible replanting efforts while maintaining safe and functional roadside clear zones. The draft policy emphasizes the use of native species, adhere to professional planting standards, and implementation of annual cost share program. Additionally, the policy includes an enhanced replacement option for projects related to road widening, reconstruction, or other improvements funded through specialized federally funded grant programs. Under this provision, up to 2 replacement trees may be replanted for each 1 tree removal, following the same board contribution of up to 50% of the cost of replacement trees. All replacement trees must be planted in the vicinity of the trees being removed outside the road right-of-way, with sufficient spacing to promote healthy growth and avoid overcrowding with existing vegetation. This draft policy establishes a general spacing guideline of approximately 50 feet between trees. If approved, staff will proceed with developing the annual species list, detailed cost-sharing guidelines, and corresponding budget allocations necessary for the implementation of the program. Staff has also reviewed Act 51 and confirmed the tree replacement policy would be limited to trees removed as part of a preservation or structural improvement projects. Trees removed in response to routine maintenance and service requests, such as those have fallen into the roadway, would not be eligible for participation in this program for cost share using MTF funds. Implementation of this policy is subject to available revenue. The board would be allocate annual funds for this program based on an approved budget. Staff would monitor participation levels and adjust future budgets as needed to ensure sustainability. Staff has checked local pricing for the 2-inch caliper, 2-inch diameter at 6 inches above the ground level trees and confirmed the estimated cost of a single tree, including delivery and planting by a contractor, in the range to $500 to $800 each. So I just want to make sure that I will just ad lib and add on that you can have a canopy of trees, grown, full grown mature trees, still over the roadway outside the 66-foot roadway. There's plenty of examples of that in the county. I think the vice chair has mentioned that to me as well. If we do this right and plant these trees now, there will be 50 years from now, 100 years from now, a good canopy over roads with them outside the road right away. So that is it for my comments. Anything further, commissioners? Staff, anything to add, managing director?
No, not at this time.
Does 4 weeks from now sound like a good time frame? That'll give Commissioner Kennedy. Do we need a motion on that? Would you like to make that motion?
So
I'll entertain a motion that we bring it back on.
I'd like to make a motion to table this for further discussion and bring this back up at our meeting in 4 weeks.
You want to do it in under old business as discussion or new business as to vote on it? It's up to you.
New business.
Under new business?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's get it done or not done.
Yep. We can always vote to table it then too as well. Yep. All right. There's a motion on the floor. Is there support? Support by Kevin Thompson. Any discussion, commissioners?
So what exactly, I just want to be sure that I understand what exactly, when we come back, are we looking to have? I just kind of want a little outline. Are we going to have different partner lists so that we can give out to the community? What exactly are we asking for?
I think we're asking for this policy to look at, to vote on it, and then in the meantime we'll develop more language or whatever, more opportunities to find out what we can do for grant funding to cover that 50% for the residents if there's a hardship and they can't afford their 50%. Does that sound something you'd be supportive of?
It sounds like something we should be doing.
Okay.
And then the other question is the type of trees. Is there is there a particular type of tree that we were going to be replanting for that amount of money?
So we were more interested in species that are native to the area. I will say the only thing that we probably should consider avoiding is coniferous trees, simply because they're very difficult to trim. When you trim, they look kind of one-sided. So, as they grow and protrude into the road right away, they're very difficult to maintain and manage. So probably not the best option alongside the road.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Commissioner Davis.
I think if we just refer to I think it's paragraph 1 or 5. If approved, the staff will proceed with developing annual species lists. So that kind of covers what I think you were just discussing, Commissioner Kennedy. So the details will be worked out by staff after.
Right.
And they'll provide
I just wanted to see what we were going to be looking at in 4 weeks, or not just revisiting the same language that's already here. So. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions or comments? Vice Chair.
Referred to potential tree replacement applying to our projects. Is that both primary and local roads?
That is correct.
So if it's local roads, that'll be township dollars going into these trees too. Requires 50-50 match, correct?
So the policy would be outside of the project. So we would not include the tree replacements as part of the project cost.
Okay.
It would just be totally funded with this contribution between the road commission and the property owner.
Does that make sense?
So a good example is the Safe Streets for All program. The grant will not pay for tree replacements. We would have to do it outside of the grant.
So let's investigate local roads, who's paying. Usually it's 50-50, half road commission, half township. We're looking for partners. I'd like to hear from our townships if they'd help. Maybe it'll be the hardship cases, maybe. Anyway, I've made my point already. I think there's higher priorities in my mind to spend dollars on here.
Hearing no further discussion, all in favor of the motion to bring this back in 4 weeks, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries. All right, take us to new business. Request, item A, request the board support refining our approach to clear zone width so that it reflects the specific characteristics of each corridor rather than a single standard applied uniformity across the program. Managing Director.
All right, so the Road Commission of Kalamazoo County was awarded an SS4A grant from Federal Highway Administration to reduce the serious crashes and fatalities across our roughly 130 miles of county roads. A significant portion of the program's safety benefit comes from the roadside hazard elimination, which removes trees, brush, and other fixed objects from within the road's clear zone. The recoverable area beside the travel lane where a driver who leaves the road has room to slow down or stop striking a fixed object. As originally scoped, the program defined in this clear zone as a flat 33 feet from the center of the road within the RCKC right-of-way, regardless of the corridor's traffic, speed, volume, or roadside slope. Since the program began marking trees in the fall of 2024, RCKC staff has received feedback from residents along the affected corridor. While there has been support for this effort, some residents oppose removing mature trees in front of their properties. Staff recognizes that this feedback reflects several distinct and equally legitimate sets of concerns. Residents who value the trees for their environmental and aesthetic contribution to the corridor, families for whom certain trees hold personal significance, and the RCKC's own responsibility and that of our federal grantor to reduce roadside crash severity along these corridors. Staff has taken this feedback seriously, followed up directly with numerous residents, met internally to review and weighed the options available to RCKC in response. At the board meeting on June 30th, 2026, staff recommended a design revision that considered national and state accepted practices for establishing clear zone widths. Rather than applying a single uniform clear zone distance across all roads in the program, this guidance supports refining our approach so that the clear zone reflects the specific characteristics of each corridor, calibrated to traffic speed, volume, and roadside slope. Applying this guidance, staff provided 17 feet from the edge of the traveled lane, which is also 28 feet from the center of the road for a 55-mile-an-hour road in place of our previous 33-foot right-of-way limit. This revision would be implemented at the design stage of each project on a corridor-by-corridor basis, rather than through a formal amendment to the RCKC's Federal Highway Administration grant application. This adjustment represents as a general program-wide example to give residents an idea of the impacts and is not a ceiling, and individual projects may still require a wider clear zone where conditions such as horizontal curves, reconstruction, widening, or steeper slopes warrant it. At the June 30th meeting, some residents shared that this proposal is not enough and that they are petitioning for an amendment to the grant to remove the clear zone improvements and limit tree removals to dead and dying trees and intersections. Staff cannot recommend an amendment to exclude roadside hazard elimination from the grant, as this would remove one of the program's core safety benefits and is not something staff can put forward as a sound engineering practice. The current proposal from staff offers a practical middle ground meaningfully reducing the number of healthy, mature trees removed under the program while preserving the safety benefit the SS4A grant is intended to deliver. And it does not require Federal Highway Administration approval of a grant amendment to implement. The revised approach to clear zone improvements would apply across the full SS4A program. Exact figures would not be known until each corridor completes the tree survey process. But staff currently estimate that this change would reduce the tree portion of roadside hazard elimination from an initial program-wide estimation of 8,000 trees to approximately 4,000. Staff also wants to be clear with the board and the public that this tree count includes dead and dying trees all the way to the edge of the right-of-way and is not limited to just healthy and mature trees. This recommendation, design revision, best balances resident concerns, sound engineering practices, and the Road Commission's obligation under this SS4A grant. The proposed design revision within the existing scope of the SS4A grant do not by themselves change the grant award or require additional RCKC funding at this time, because exact tree counts and clearing limits will not be fully finalized until each corridor tree survey is completed. Corridor specific cost impacts will be evaluated prior to our bid. So with that, we are recommending the board support refining our approach to clear zone widths so that it reflects the specific characteristics of each corridor rather than single standard applied uniformity across the program.
A motion would be in order.
Well moved, say Howard.
Is there support?
Support.
We have a motion by Vice Chair Stayer with second to request the board support refining our approach. And this is basically putting in a vote form what we discussed 2 weeks ago from staff. I got a lot of feedback from residents and some elected officials and community leaders that wasn't clear what we were doing as far as, because we didn't vote on the staff recommendation. So I directed staff that we put this in a vote form so that the board can show that we're to the public that we're supporting these new recommendations of going from 8,000 trees down to 4,000 trees. So with that, I will open it up to public discussion on the new business item. If you have like to address the board on this on this proposal, item A under new business, you have 3 minutes. Just state your name and address. And Managing Director.
Yeah. Chair Plosky, one more quick thing to add, just for clarification. I know we've mentioned it on a one-on-one basis with some of our residents, but also part of this safety grant program is road reconstruction and paving type projects. And the road reconstruction projects typically are widening the footprint of the road, which requires moving the road shoulder out and creating new drainage areas outside that shoulder area, which is in essence where a lot of these trees are located. So even if we did remove the clear zone portion of this grant or even reduced it further, Portage Road would be the great example of a road that we would still remove the trees to do the project, even if we made any further adjustments to the clear zone.
Thank you for that clarification. Very important. Anybody in the public willing to address the board on this new proposal? You have 3 minutes. State your name and address.
Is it on? Yeah.
Yep.
Cindy Johnson, 12568 South 18th Street, Vicksburg, Michigan. I do like what I'm hearing on the new proposal as far as taking each corridor into consideration for its own aesthetic value. Again, I have to repeat myself probably many times. I live along U Avenue. I'm on 18th Street, but I drive U Avenue both directions constantly all day long. And we have what I consider a beautiful roadway, Prairie View Park, white picket fence all the way down it, overhanging black walnut trees. And there are a few trees that are outside that fence line of the black walnut, but that whole stretch of road is just beautiful. And so I'm grateful to hear that you're taking each corridor into consideration for preserving its character the way it is, because it's a very unique stretch of road. And so I'm glad to hear that. I also wanted to say briefly, Andy and Larry, I agree with you. I know it's not in the realm of maybe the road commission, but native species of trees and diversity is very important, because I have a situation in my yard right now, oak wilt. I have a lot of oaks that were just there, but because of new organisms, we're constantly fighting for invasive species, right? The bugs, disease. And so to diversify, I agree 100% with you guys on that. That's great insight there. One other thing I wanted to bring up, and you guys maybe can't answer. So you did U Avenue to the east of Portage Road just last year, and finished it last year up until 23rd Street, where you're thinking about the roundabout. That's under controversy as well. So I agree, that road is so much better. It was a hot mess, potholes everywhere. You guys put in a beautiful shoulder on it, and you took down a ton of trees during that. In fact, I brought pictures of the trucks. They're laying there. And now as you go through that same stretch, you've got another set of trees that you're going to take down. And that's where I just get a little, angry. It's like you took down the trees you needed. The road is wonderful, beautiful, love it. And now if you go down there again, you have another set of trees that you're taking down, which you just took down 2 years ago. So it just seems kind of ridiculous. The other thing I was wondering is you just chip and sealed it. Beautiful roadway, smooth as can be, beautiful shoulder. I don't understand that. I'm sure there's a reason behind it. Literally, you finished that a year ago, and I think August. You just chip and sealed it. I'm like, oh my gosh, why did you just do that? It was so beautiful. I mean, riding my bike down there, there's the lane. Now it's probably going to take another, I don't know, couple weeks. It has to settle, and then you'll put the sealant on it. Then you'll have to restripe it again. I just didn't understand that. And I've seen that happen. You did it to the other stretch of U Avenue about 4 years ago. You had just completed it. Within 2 years, you chip and sealed it. Why is that? I don't know if you can answer that, but I'm just trying to understand. Thank you.
You're welcome. And it's to preserve the road longer. That's our standard procedure. So, well,
Contractor that does the reconstruction, and you guys come through as County Road Commission. I know it's your truck
Yes.
doing the chip and seal.
Yep.
You probably have a contractor, right, that does that whole redesign.
yes.
And they did a beautiful job. The road is smooth. It's a pleasure to drive on, and then you chip and seal it. I'm like, anyway, thank you.
Chair, if I could, ma'am,
Yep.
we can catch up with you after the meeting and answer your questions.
Absolutely. Next.
Well, thank you.
Yep.
That is your job as a public entity to listen to your constituents. I know you're not voted in, you're appointed by the Kalamazoo County Commission. In fact, he just walked out and he said, give them hell to me. So obviously there's a lot of people that feel the way that we feel. I do have to not look at the managing director, but ask you about Portage Road. So I live on Portage Road, and if you look at Portage Road north of W Avenue, okay, I understand that 55 miles an hour. You get to the intersection of W and Portage, and you have the railroad track, then you have a company there, then you have houses that have all been built along there, brand new development that has happened there. You have two more roads that come out onto Portage Road. Go down a little bit farther, you have another road that comes out onto Portage Road. Then you have a boat landing where you have big boats navigating in and out of there. And then you have another road that comes out, okay? Then you have a school at the end, okay? I don't see where it says 55 miles an hour anywhere. And you can't even drive 55 miles an hour on that road between W and XY. On my GPS, on my car, every time I go down, I laugh because it says 25. Because I think it recognizes it's a residential area because of all of the houses that are lined up, all of the new development. So let's talk about Portage Road. Clear cutting Portage Road, you're going to have people going even faster on that road. And like I said, I totally understand Portage Road. You have all the Stryker, you have all the Pfizer people. They usually turn at W, but we do have people that go from W down to XY because you have people that live in new developments down XY that goes to Y. So I didn't like that I heard that, but not the corridor of Portage Road. Did you guys hear that? The managing director said, but not the corridor of Portage Road. I think that needs to be looked at very seriously with a school, a boat landing, all of the new houses that have been put in, plus the intersections that the roads that you have coming into that. So once again, I say thank you. I appreciate you listening to us, but please take a closer look at Portage Road between W and XY. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Jody Witt, 10518 Riverview Drive, Plainwell. This is my third road commission meeting and I'm very encouraged. Thank you all very much for listening to your citizens. Not an easy job that you have. I had no idea this was part of your job, but not an easy job. But as you can tell, the citizens of Kalamazoo County are partial to their trees. They're partial to their landscapes, things you don't think about when I bought my house 23 years ago, that I'd be fighting to save my walnut trees. I'm fighting to save my walnut trees. I'm going to be watching to see what the corridor plans are for where they are. I know Portage Road is a hot topic. Riverview Drive to me is a hot topic. It's a beautiful tree-lined road. Yes, there are some hazards on it that I'm supportive of having them removed. I believe the people whose yards they are in are supportive of that as well, not the ones that aren't. I'm more curious about the straddle policy. I know that was mentioned last time. I don't know that you can answer me, but I measured my trees and I think I'm within that, but I need to know how far in that they have to be in order for them to be saved. So if you can answer that, answer that. If you can't, I understand. I'll have to look it up online, but I just want to say thank you very much. I had the pleasure of talking with Randy last night at Cooper Township meeting. I retired June 1st and I feel like all I'm doing is attending meetings of road commissions and township meetings. So it's an interesting life I didn't know I was going to have. But yeah, thank you. Again, curious about the straddle policy.
Thank you, you bet. And just to clarify, without being specific, because I can't address your situation, but if the tree managing director, if the tree is on the 17-foot line, it would stay, correct?
That's correct. So measuring from the edge of the lane, which is 11 feet from the center of the road, or the white line, if there's a white line present, if that portion of that, any portion of that tree is outside that 17 feet, it would stay. It would, other than Portage Road is a project. So trees are going to be removed to construct ditches on that road.
Yes, Portage Road is correct me if I'm wrong, is going to an all-season road, correct?
It is.
And so that is going to create a lot more width and ditching, and regardless of the Safe Streets for All program, whenever we convert a road to all season, that's going to necessitate tree removal. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Davis. All right. Other public comments on the proposed item A from anyone in the audience here? If not, we will go to online. Is anybody online would like to address the road commission on item A under new business? Seeing none. Commissioners, I'll open up to commissioner discussion. Commissioners, anything?
Chair.
Commissioner Davis.
Thank you.
You bet.
So the what I'm not, the only thing I like the policy generally. The only thing I'm not seeing here is any specificity regarding passages that are going to be less than 55 miles an hour. So what are we doing in areas where there's 45s or 35s, you know, Whether, is there a different criteria for that? Or is something we're going to, is there further modification we need to make in order to make those?
Sure. Any
allowances?
Sure. I think this is a good opportunity for our county engineer. I think he can help explain the details of what the AASHTO guidelines are and how we would follow them.
So most roads are 55, but there are a few that are 1545, I believe.
That is correct. Thank you, board. I am Ryan Minkus, County Engineer here with the Road Commission. So we've been reviewing over the past week or so. We know what speed limits we have posted on roads. So conversations we were having this morning, there are even some stretches of these roads that might be down to 35 miles an hour. So we are looking at what those guidelines state, essentially based on speed limit and slope off the road. It provides a recommendation for what you would want to have for your clear zone. So presenting what we did at the last meeting, mentioning the 17 feet for the 55 was kind of a worst case scenario to be able to provide the public that, if you're okay with that, if your speed limit's lower, that number is likely going to come in some way, shape, or form. We're still working through those guidelines and recommendations to figure out what it is. We're also having conversations with other team members here internally this week because we are trying to establish how we're going to go back out and complete and redo some of these surveys we've done because we marked at the 33 feet. Now we need to figure out, again, the specifics for each road and then what each road we need to go measure at. So it is that work in process. It is why we haven't said the speed limit, it's this, the speed limit, it's that. There is already a guidance document that kind of has that established for us. We're trying to make sure it does leave some flexibility in those ranges. So we're trying to look at those and figuring out where we want to land in those ranges.
So slope of the road and other factors will play into that.
So if I'm not correct, so in the final wording, we recommend the board support the refined approach reflects that reflects the specific characters of each corridor. What you're saying is that's part of that process of making it reflect the specificity of that corridor, what's going on in it, not necessarily that we're adopting we're only dealing with the 55 specifically in this motion, but we're still allowing for flexibility below or for specific corridor situations.
Correct.
Okay.
Other questions for the county engineer? Vice Chair?
Not a question, really just perspective. I appreciated presentation by our managing director and our county engineer to the county board. It was very well done. They asked lots of good questions during that. I think they received good information and feedback. And then I think we should just also mention several of us were able to go out July 13 and look at some of the project areas. Others of us have traveled other parts, other times. We are putting time and effort into this.
Very good. Thank you, Vice Chair. Yes. Commissioner Kennedy.
So I'd like to say thank you very much for the presentations and everything. I was one of those commissioners that went out on the bus tour to look at, because it's really hard to gauge something if you're really not looking at it and you're just sitting in a chair at a desk and making those decisions. So I appreciate the offer of going on the bus tour to getting that live look of what the residents were feeling and talking about, and our perspective or your perspective as a road commission as well, and us as a board. So I just wanted to share that, it's not an easy thing, and I really appreciate you're taking a second look and trying to sit down with the community and at least adopt some of their concerns. And I don't know, reconfigure is not really a great word, but we get it. So I just wanted to say thank you for that to you, your team.
Thank you, Commissioner Kennedy. Any other comments? Yes, Vice Chair.
I've had 0 resident calls about trees. One county commissioner one fellow commissioner mentioned he was hearing about trees at township meetings. Of course, I've heard some tree comments at township board meetings I've been at, but no calls. I want to remind the public, we have what's called service requests. You may phone in, you may submit them online. It's an excellent method to document your concern, put it on a very tangible record, permanent record with the road commission. ABF people, different subject, but anyway, service request, AB Avenue, you may use those. Write up what your concerns are there. Staff will address them. We rely on that and appreciate that system. So I think we should advocate that people use this system for these projects as well to bring forward their concerns and questions. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Yes. And of course, you're always welcome to come to these meetings as well.
Correct.
Yep. Any other questions for the county highway engineer? Commissioner Thompson.
Want to take, concur what has been said. Thank you for the staff taking the time to look at it. Thank you to the citizens for bringing this up to us. I think we've done a very good compromise. We can't always please everybody, but we have to do what we have, work within our budget that we have. We have a grant that we have to follow, but we've been able to make some changes with. And this has taken time, and I think we have a good compromise here.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Thompson. I too, Commissioner Davis.
I just wanted to also clarify that that in trying to come up with characteristics of each corridor, we're going to, what type other of the, besides the existing physical characteristics of slope and velocity and those, what other types of characteristics might we be, I'm trying to anticipate questions from the community. What might we be able to take into account in modifying our cut pattern? For instance, like the Prairie View Park, here's a public park with a picket fence and a lovely line of trees, and does that is the entirety of that entryway, make for a situation where we were like, oh, we can make an additional accommodation because here's a park entrance. We're trying to get people to slow down. We're trying to get them into a specific kind of mindset before they could go to the park. I mean, are there non physical characteristics that we're going to try to deal with here? I'm just trying to think outside the box.
That specific stretch of road by Prairie View Park, the speed limit is 45 miles an hour. So we've been sharing with residents on that stretch of road that the 17-foot wouldn't apply. Again, so the geometry of the road is typically what Clear Zone is looking at. So vertical, horizontal curvature and slopes off of it. So that is primarily what we're looking at here. Trying to figure out, because all the Clear Zone is doing is helping dissipate energy, right? The trees will dissipate energy if they're there. So we're trying to create an area and space where that energy can be dissipated. So it's, I understand character isn't in the AASHTO and MDOT guidelines, right? So we're trying to look and be as flexible as we can in areas and understanding the concerns of the residents.
Yeah, those are the,
but still trying to look at it from an engineering standpoint and being able to justify how and why we're doing the things we're doing. So it's a challenge. We're trying to do the best we can.
And I personally thank you for that and understanding the difficulty as I've been dealing with, with trying to interact with the public, trying to come up with some sort of a understanding of a standard that works, that is independent of like other issues. So, thank you.
Anything else for the county highway engineer? I just also want to thank you and your staff and everyone here for taking the extra time and energy and effort to look into this. It's a lot more work to go into and get specifics on corridor, and it's going to take a lot of staff time. So I really appreciate it. Very much so. I just would caveat that U Avenue is also a primary road, so people will be traveling across the county for it, not just going to the park as well. So, but yes, thank you. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
Other commissioner comments on this proposal? Any questions for the managing director?
One last thought.
Yes, Commissioner Davis, sure.
Commissioner Stehauser brought up, how this is going to cost us more money.
Yeah.
And then there have been comments during public comment about, how if we're only cutting back, if we're only going to cut 4,000 trees versus 8,000 trees, then there's, well, what can we do with that money? And my thought is that we're probably going to end up spending that money just for the extra staff work to do, all the extra legwork that it's going to take to do the characterization. So the new characterizations on these corridors. So we're probably going to have, there's not going to be like extra money. So.
Right, and the money for the tree replacement can't come out of the safety grant either.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah, absolutely. We're going to be robbing Peter to pay Paul. Vice Chair.
Let's clarify that a little more.
Sure.
Some federal grants cover engineering, some don't. I don't know on this one if, and that could be state grants, other projects. We have to add, we have to match on this project. So we're looking at 35 million total, including our match. Does that include engineering or corridor review cost? Is it grant eligible?
I'm going to look to our county engineer to verify that. I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but I want to make sure we get it accurate. It's pretty common that it does not include the engineering on a federal aid project.
This grant did allow for us to pay for consulting engineering to assist us with some of what we're doing. So while the commissioner said there would be savings and there would be added costs, we still anticipate that because of the cutting the trees in half, we were estimating the cost at 8 million, cut it in half, maybe about 4 million. That's not, engineering isn't going to cost 4 million to do this. So we do believe there's going to be additional monies that will be able to go address roads that have dropped in condition such that they would not be adequate for putting in rumble strips. And so they need to be repaved. So we believe we'd be able to shift those monies and pave a few more roads that we had not initially planned on, but that was explained to us from our federal highway contact that if road conditions change, that is an eligible thing to do, is to be able to use those monies to resurface those roads.
Good. Very good. Any other further questions? Oh, thank you. All right, I'll just something that has come up is the rumble strips on the side of the roads. I know that we're doing 130 miles total, 74, I believe, are shoulder rumble strips, 56 are not due to bike lanes. I just want to make sure the public understands that that was with long consultation with the bike club and bicycle people. When I first got on the board, there was several commissioners who were active in working with the bicycle club and avid bikers themselves, including Commissioner Tom Brennan, Commissioner Mike Boersma, Commissioner Deb Balkholz, Commissioner Dave Worthams. So it's been a long-standing theme that we work closely with the bicycle club. It's after many months and years of consultation, that's how we came to our master plan, our bike route plan for the county. It's something that's been taken very serious over the last several years. And so I do support what we're doing with that and continue to do so in collaboration. It is a balancing act between the needs of the bicyclists, but also the needs of safety as well. And so I support how staff came up with that conclusion. I want to make sure the public knows that. Thank you. Anything else? Anything further? If not, we'll go ahead and vote to support this proposal, the staff recommendation, the 17 foot from the 55 and then corridor by corridor on the other roads, the 45, the 35s and the 50s, etc. And is everyone good with that? Understand? Any questions? If not, a motion would be in order, or do we already have a motion? think we did. So all in favor of approving item A, the request of the board support refining our approach to clear zone width so that it reflects the specific characteristics of each corridor rather than a single standard applied uniformly across the program. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries. All right. This will take us to our second opportunity for public comment on non-agenda items. Another opportunity for the public to address the road commission. If you had a second opportunity to finish your thoughts from the first time, this is your time. Again, you'll have 3 minutes.
Only 3 again.
Yeah.
Name is Bob DePaul again, 8219 West Davie Avenue. I'd like to say, thank Mr. Davis. As my phone conversation with him, he said he wished that he would have more people from the public that would come to these meetings. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have been here. I didn't even know he had these meetings. I go to some of the township meetings, but never have been to one of these meetings, obviously. I've been on that road for 35 years, or 32 years, almost 33 years. This September 1st is when I moved in. But anyways, we never had a flooding problem on that road. So when they started this ditching thing, I thought, what the heck are they doing? You know, there's a lot of them have natural drops where they really didn't need to be done. And John really kind of inferred that they were just going to dip, just ditch everything. It didn't really come out that way. But then the other day I heard on the news there was this lady, she lived in this place for 35 years. And she said they never had a flooding and they flooded. Oh man, she says, what are they going to do to stop this flooding? And I thought, and I was just saying that they've been there 32 years. I just told John that. I said, there's no reason to, deal with this. Well, that was the first time in 35 years she ever had a flooding problem. So, and they were going to have to do something with the drainage in the area, so this wouldn't happen again. They just had an unnatural rainfall problem, and that wasn't here in Michigan. So I can't remember where it was at. Anyways, I was an engineer for 35 years, so I understand issues. You get a lot of negative stuff. I mean, that's all I ever heard of. This needs to be fixed. That's a problem. This, so I understand. I feel some empathy for you people sitting up here, taking care of this and listening to this crap we got to dish out to you. So I do appreciate what you guys do. Okay. I didn't want to leave it totally in a negative. I know I come up here, just threw a whole bunch of crap right at you. The bidding process was something that I got in a confrontation with John about a little bit. It was not really a confrontation, but he said that you guys, when you go out and you get bids for like the stump grinder guy that we got, that wheel that he had on there was not going to get down there deep enough. My cousin used to do stump grinding and he had like a 4-foot diameter, no problem. He could go down and get those roots and everything out of there with no problem. But this guy, don't you look at that kind of thing after the bidding process is done? I mean, not just dollars is, the capability of that person being able to do the job. That's one of my concerns that I thought you ought to look at. In the timeline schedule that I was talking about, you really need to do that. If you send that to everybody, saying what you want to get done and listing in there about trees, if you want the wood or don't want the wood. Also, the dirt became an issue in our area. Matter of fact, the cops were called because somebody had threatened John about this whole thing. So, got it. They got a little bit, but they didn't get anything. It was all hauled away. There's really no reason why the residents, their property can't have that dirt, in my opinion. Rather than, there was a lot of nice top dirt. I watched them ditch that thing and I said, oh my God, top dirt costs us quite a lot of money. You don't, $400 for a load of 10 yards. So anyways, I bought a lot out of my place. We got a lot of low level areas out there. And then the other thing about this whole project is 2 years ago, they put in the first half, the west end of the chip and seal. Now they're doing the second end. Now it's only a 1.25 miles each half that they're doing. On the other end, I was there 32 years ago, or I was around 30 or 32 years ago when they did the first seal coat on that road. And this project didn't last near as long, and they did all the ditching and stuff on the other end, which is where all the water's at. It's just a swamp down on that end of the road. So I was kind of curious why they didn't take the trees out down that end when they did this 2 years ago down there, because now trees have grown up in there, it's starting to affect the drainage there.
I'm
And there's a
sorry,
lot-
but your time is.
Over again?
Yes.
Culverts.
That's okay. And we'll go ahead and, if you want to stay after the meeting, we'll have you talk to you.
That's all right.
Okay.
I'm done. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Anybody else would like to speak on non-agenda items here in the building? Before we go online. Welcome.
So I guess, Larry, I appreciate what you said about private development and these developments that are going in and the trees that are coming down. You're not a private, you're public. That right of way is owned by the taxpayers. Okay, so it's totally different, and you are responsible to your public. Can't do what the developer, I can't change that. He bought that property, right? Am I right? Okay, so you can't compare, apples to apples. Let's talk about this all-season road, what that means. I just looked it up. It just means that you can't close a road for more than 2 days, or, I just did a quick internet search. So I really don't know what you're talking about when you talk about an all-season road.
Sure.
I do have to go back to, I moved away from Vicksburg. I came back. It's a great community. I've been gone 50 years. I can just, in my mind, thinking about riding my bus, the bus down Portage Road, there's houses that are very close to Portage Road there. I think that when you're thinking about Portage Road, you are thinking about north of W, but you're not really taking into consideration south of W to XY. That's a neighborhood. That has a lot going on. You don't clear cut the trees and have people going 55 miles an hour on that road, because yes, maybe they won't hit trees, but they're going to hit children. They're going to hit boats. They're going to hit people exiting their driveways. And Larry, when you say that nobody's called you, I remember a comment that I heard from a developer that actually built our house, said to me, you know what? The road commission, they're just there to move that traffic the fastest way possible. That's all that they care about. And I kind of get that vibe. So maybe that's why you haven't received any phone calls. And maybe some of the other commissioners that we feel are a little bit more open to the public and our concerns. So I don't think that's a fair judgment either. And I don't mean to pick on you, but you said a couple things I just don't agree with. Okay. I'm not letting this Portage Road thing go. It's a neighborhood. There's a school. There's a boat landing. There's all kinds of new development with driveways. You do not go flying people down there 55 miles an hour. It doesn't say 55 miles an hour, as I said. It says 25 on my GPS. I can't even go 55. And I've noticed that people aren't going 55 down that road. So if you think Portage Road is 55 between W and XY, it's impossible to go 55 without really hurting yourself or someone else. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
My team.
Welcome.
Rodowski here, 1963 East Y Avenue. I wasn't going to speak today, but I do want to make a couple clarifications. Board member Strayhauer indicated that he hadn't received any phone calls, and I'm shaking my head about these trees because my gosh, we gave them 2,000, almost 2,000 petitions with comments. That's why they aren't calling you. They assume that you guys are reading the comments that you guys are getting every 2 weeks. And I didn't send them out today, but I guess I got to again today to send them to you. And you indicated that those petitions were talking about not just trees, they were talking about speed and other things. No, those petitions, I wrote it, they were black and white. They're about petitioning the removal of 8,000 trees and now 4,000 trees. The reasons for not removing the trees were lower the speed limits on all the other peripheral things. So make it clear, it was about removal of trees, period. We just need to make sure that we're on the same page going forward here. And I see a lot of diversion from some of the facts that have been presented to you. And I certainly hope you are reading the comments. That tells me that you are reading the comments, but maybe just interpreting them wrong. Those petitions were about not removing the trees, and that's why they went to the website and why they submitted them. Their reasons for not removing some trees are what you are interpreting as other concerns or factors. But anyways, I just want to clarify that. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm Georgia Evans, 830 East U Avenue. I guess what I want to do right now is make one statement, and that is thank you for coming out and seeing the trees. Thank you for visiting U Avenue. Now you have a picture of what I talk about when I stand here and talk about my beautiful trees. So as you are driving down U Avenue, I just have a question in my mind. Did you think you could do 55 miles an hour on that windy, curvy road? It's impossible. You know, if you are doing 55, I don't know who you are, but you're not most of the citizens out there. So I'd like to recommend something to our engineer. I know it's 45 miles an hour over by the park, Prairie View Park. And you've got 2 S curves after that. I think that whole road from Portage all the way to 131, the complete U Avenue should be 45 miles an hour. I'd ask the board to consider that. I'd like the engineer to look at that. That road is fast, and it does not need to be fast. There's just sections of it that you can pick up a little speed, as you saw, but I really feel that road should be 45 miles an hour. And I would seriously ask the board to consider that and the engineer to look at that. And I'm really not hearing any changes with the 45 mile an hour segues and the corridors. I didn't hear anything different today of what's going to happen in that. I heard the trees have velocity and they have substance. Well, yeah, they're trees. So we want to remove them. But once again, you're doing 45 miles an hour. That's a huge, substantial speed difference than 55. So I'd like to have Ryan comment on that because I'm confused. So thank you for your time and thank you for the work that you are doing.
Thank
and
you.
thank you for visiting us out there on U Avenue.
Thank you. Any other comments from anyone here in the audience on non-agenda items? Seeing none, is there anyone online who would like to speak on a non-agenda item wishing to address the board? Seeing none, all right, we will get into managing director's time. Managing director.
All right, a few items this afternoon. First of all, we have a township supervisor meeting here at the road commission. It's tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. We also have another road tour scheduled with our commissioners August 7th.
Okay. And
that's at 9 a.m. here at the road commission. And then a couple things project related, specifically chip seal. We are currently chip sealing Sprinkle Road from Business Loop 94 north to the Kalamazoo River Bridge. Actually, the chip seal should all be down as of early this afternoon. So I've been working on that the last 2 days. But we still have lane closures on that portion of Sprinkle. There'll be additional sweeping going on overnight. And then tomorrow, our team will be out fog sealing Sprinkle Road. And then immediately following that, hopefully yet this week, we'll get pavement marking on it. So also, I wanted to share another chip seal project. It's actually some rework from last year. The board approved $300,000 to do some repairs related to last year's chip seals. We had a slew of about 4 projects that we had excessive stone loss on. We determined the major reason was the emulsion didn't meet our specification. It was high viscosity, so it was real thick, didn't adhere well to the stone. Looked good when it went down, but as we got through winter, we had at least 50% stone loss on those 4 projects. So, but one of them is a primary road, and it's 29th Street, just east of here from N Avenue down to S Avenue. So it's a long stretch, 5 miles of straight road. Some of it's actually part of the detour for Sprinkle Road this year. So So our team's been out there repairing that, improving that with a new chip seal this year. And that has proved to be rather challenging simply because we have an inconsistent surface. Some areas have conventional chip seal with stone on it, and other areas there's no stone, but the emulsion layer is still there. So it's been, again, quite a challenge to try to revive that project. We feel we've been successful, but we are continuing to monitor it because the heat that we've had the last few days will really show the work we've done and how we can provide a new surface that's not flushing and picking up and causing issues with the motoring public. So we have completed the chip seal portion of that as of this morning. We will be sweeping it yet this week. Fog seal is also planned for yet this week, and hopefully get some pavement marking on that project also. But again, we're still monitoring that one actually as we speak, simply because the road temperatures on hot days like this get up in the 140-degree range. We spray liquid emulsion at about 150 to 160 degrees. So we're in essence reactivating what's there, which is one to push or pump up through the stone. So it forces us to add additional stone to keep the traffic up out of that tar. So I just wanted to share that because I'm sure, I know we've taken a few service requests, and I'm sure maybe the commissioners may hear something about that also. So that's all I have, unless there's questions for me.
Questions for the managing director, Commissioner Davis?
Question. Was it our crews that laid down the initial chip seal and that was using the emulsion that was below our standard? Was that our crew, or was that
It was last year, and it was actually a combination. Our crew and our contractors working together last year. If the board recalls, this year we are renting our own distributors, actually buying our own. So in the future, starting this year, we won't be using contractors. But last year we did use a contractor to assist us. Yes.
And so, are there any repercussions for any of the supplier or the contractor for using or supplying materials that didn't meet our standard?
There's not. We have nothing in our bid spec that says we can receive a penalty for anything that doesn't meet spec. But we have worked with our contractors through our bid process going forward as of this year, where we actually can get what we call a batch test. So as the vendor makes the material and places it in a storage tank, there is a test that the vendor does on it to verify the specifications. When we receive deliveries, our delivery ticket will match a batch test that has a test, a passing test on that load of emulsion. The struggle with emulsion is by the time you can actually test it, it takes about 4 or 5 days, and we receive it and use it the same day.
So currently our only validation protocol is in the field. Basically, we field observation.
So we have the batch test, right, that comes with the load. So according to the vendor's test, we can verify that it passed. We still sample randomly throughout the season and do our own tests. And every test this year is passed. So we've not had any issues to this point. What's interesting with last year is the tests that did fail for high viscosity oil, which means it has too much asphalt cement in it and it's really thick. It actually costs the vendor more to make that material than to make something that met our spec. So, it's to everybody's advantage to make sure we're monitoring that closely.
Thank you.
Other questions for the managing director?
I don't have
Commissioner Kennedy.
I don't have a question, but I do want to say that yesterday I was on Sprinkle Road just as they were getting ready to put out the barrels, and I looked and I said, "Oh, I know those people." And I guess I, just being a civilian and just a resident, sometimes I'm rushing past something and I'm not really paying attention. And I looked to see how dangerous some of those vehicles. I mean, I actually saw a garbage truck. I won't name it, but he was flying past, and one of your workers was just putting a cone down. And, they worked very hard. And I saw everything that they were doing, for as long as I was at that light. And then just kept looking back just to make sure everybody was okay. And so I just really want to say that I really appreciate what everyone is doing out there when they go out there. I don't know if it's said enough. I'm sure that, we all appreciate the work that they do, and I know you do. But it's just a whole different ballgame when you're actually seeing, what is part of the whole project, or, part of what they're doing and how they're paying attention and looking out for one another. And I wanted to take time to thank that opportunity or that project. And I hope that you share that with your team, that we do appreciate everything that they're doing.
Absolutely. Thank you, Commissioner Kennedy.
Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Davis.
Managing Director, I thought it was brought up during public comment, but it might be a nice opportunity to remind the public, or at least this is my understanding, that the road commission has little, if any, authority over speed limits. That belongs to the state police.
To the Michigan State Police, that's correct.
Yeah,
So
can you just kind of refresh, so as a part, for the record, what the relationship is between.
So again, the road commission does not set speed limits. All right, we depend upon the Michigan State Police. Michigan State Police, by resolution of the township, would go out and perform a traffic study, and based on the 85th percentile is generally how they determine the speed of the road. So, they're monitoring current speeds of the traffic to determine what the speed limit is going to be. Again, it has nothing to do with the road commission. We simply put up the sign.
Yep. Vice Chair.
Let's be clear, it's the people driving on the road.
Yes.
That's what sets the speed limit.
Exactly.
The Michigan State Police, the study done, the speed study, is what driver behavior is.
Yes.
If there's not reason to not follow driver behavior, then the 85th percentile applies. If it is a school zone, if it's a dense neighborhood area, there's some other physical factors come in, but it's the behavior of the people driving on the road. It is not the road commission. It's not the state police that said it. It's the drivers on the road.
It's how comfortable they feel driving at that speed.
Correct.
And that's what the Michigan State Police base it off of. Yes.
Yep, absolutely, Vice Chair. You are so correct. And it's through roads that are through traffic. So subdivisions are different, residential subdivisions are different, but and of course interstates are different too. But any road that connects to another road that's a through road, it's the drivers of that road and the speed they travel at. The Michigan State monitors that speed, whatever that speed is, and then they pick the 85th percentile, and that's the new speed limit. So we can answer your question after the meeting, Mr. Sadowski, but yes. Yes, it's the drivers of the road that set the speed limit, not us. We only get a traffic control order from the state police and we put up the sign. You're welcome. While we're on that topic, how about all seasons roads? You want to address what's the difference between a regular road and
all season road, right? So typically all season roads are a primary road network, but we do have a few local roads that are all season. But the difference between an all season and a non-all season road is during the winter time, we have excessive amount of cold temperature, freezing that road bed, expanding that road bed. And then, of course, as it warms up in the spring, everything starts to thaw out. And that's where the aggregate surface underneath a road starts to melt. And it does not have the structure to support heavy truck traffic. Building all-season roads, we build that sub-base so it can handle that type of traffic loading going through that thaw cycle in the spring. So in essence, there wouldn't be any restrictions for weight on vehicles on this section of road on Portage south of W Avenue.
Thank you. I got a couple emails recently during the storm that we had out in Texas Township here a few days ago. And I did get an email about somebody concerned with a tree down with a power line that was entangled in it, and they were confused on whose responsibility it was. And I just want to repeat to the public to let the public know that if there's power lines in a tree, we do not touch that tree until Consumers Energy removes those power lines. And only then do we move the tree. And Managing Director, anything to add on that?
Well, I will say, even our team, we have voltage detectors, right, that our people wear as they approach these types of situations. And we don't determine if it's electric line or if it's a communication line, because it could be a communication line that's energized by a power line, right? So we do not approach those situations, and neither should anybody from the public. There's just too much risk there of being electrocuted. So if you ever come across a situation with a tree down, always assume that there's power lines in it. And give 911 a call, give us a call if it's during work hours. If it's not, 911 will contact us immediately. We will respond. We try to get information, and so does Central Dispatch, on if there is a power line, so they can also dispatch Consumers Energy. Consumers Energy a lot of times responds, and it's not their utility, but they are always willing to respond and determine that. So we appreciate that piece. And then, of course, when the utility is there, they're responsible for removing their utility from the tree, and sometimes actually clean up the tree, but not always. And then the road commission would return if necessary to clean the tree once the utility is removed.
Very good. Thank you for that clarification. The other second email I received was traffic lights. So we had a traffic light, one of our signals, that was knocked out due to a power outage. They do have battery backup, lasts about approximately 6 hours or so. After that 6 hours, they go dark, and the public should treat it as a four-way stop. And correct. And as far as, we don't put up stop signs or four-way stop signs out there for something like that.
We do not, and specifically we do not, because when the power comes back on, the traveling public's confused as to, who has the thoroughfare. But I'm going to look to our engineering team to verify what I'm going to say is correct. But when a traffic signal is dark, the main road has the right of way. It's not a four-way stop.
Okay.
Is that correct? That is correct.
Okay.
Most of the traveling public does not know that. They treat it as a four-way stop, which we have no authority, enforcement,
right,
at that point. And it kind of works, simply because everybody at least stops, and, there's less chance of crashes.
I know Central Dispatch was telling people to treat it as four-way stops. So.
But by law, we shouldn't. So
good to know. Thank you. All right. Any other questions for the Managing Director, Commissioners? Hearing none, that'll take us to Commissioners' time and committee reports. Commissioner Kennedy.
I have no report at the moment.
Thank you. Commissioner Davis.
Thank you. Attended the Cooper Township meeting last night. That went really well. Randy Thompson was also there, Commissioner Thompson. There's been a lot of conversation about battery storage and the data centers and that sort of thing. So we'll hear more and more about that probably tomorrow at the supervisors meeting. But that was an interesting meeting, and there was some talk there about some of the safe streets for all as well. So I didn't address it with that point, but there was definitely a feeling that there's an appreciation for what we're doing, but a desire to see more trees preserved than cut. So that's my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Thompson.
He just gave my report. Also, we got an email today. Board of Public Works, the next two meetings have been canceled, so we won't have it until the end of the year.
Very good. Thank you. Vice Chair Statehour.
Thank you. Listening to the formal township meetings, I did attend the open house Kalamazoo Township for their new police administrative complex going in on Douglas Avenue. I don't know the acreage of the site. I'll guess 50 acres. forest trees are removed, sites mass regraded, soil disturbed, et cetera, et cetera. A very impressive facility. Staying around, talking with former chief of police of the township, talking with the architects. Very, very informative. So I really appreciated that opportunity. July 3, I traveled 165 miles to look at trees in our county on Safe Streets for All. July 11, I biked AB Avenue. I wish the gentleman that spoke this evening had conveyed their comments. I will look specifically. I bicycled it. I know what it feels like on a bicycle. I bicycled Alpena. I bicycled many roads in Alamo and Ashtamore Township. I've bicycled Riverview Drive and driven it numerous times, G Avenue numerous times, including bicycling it again recently. When I hear from citizens, I take note and I go look. Sometimes I meet with you. And I want to say, I have not had a citizen call me. Yes, you have petitions. Yes, I've been at meetings. I am the kind of person that goes and looks. And staff knows I talk with them afterwards. So I think we do our jobs. Doesn't change our pay, the hours we put in. So I think we take our job serious. We did this road tour. In addition to all that other stuff I did, I went to the road tour the 13th. We have dedicated commissioners. They're very interested and try to be reasonably well informed. So I think our team does a great job. And I want to reemphasize service requests. Someone calls me, I say, please turn in a service request. It documents the perspective of the person making the call, or if I meet them in person. I may follow up and add notes to the service request or ask our staff to do that. And there's a formal mechanism then that the resident gets a reply. If you're not satisfied, you can follow up more. I've had that situation on other issues, but please use it. It's formal, a little bit bureaucratic feeling maybe, but it makes a permanent record. And if we have to research things, it gives us a way as commissioners to review the service request log and history of it. I enjoy what I do. But I will say it's been very demanding recently. And I am disappointed citizens are not talking direct to our road commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Few reports. I've attended recently the Brady Township and Texas Township meetings and did give her SS4A report to both boards. I want to congratulate Kalamazoo Township on their new Township Hall groundbreaking. I had to set my regrets and was unable to attend, but I drove by this site and looks like dirt is flying, and congratulations on them and their new Township Hall Community Campus, they're calling it. I want to thank Manager Kinney from the Conservation District for joining us here today, and look forward to continued collaboration and see what we can do as far as tree planting and things like that going forward. I did meet with her earlier, and there are grant possibilities out there, and so we look forward to working with them in the future. And I invited her for a tour of the facility sometime in the future. I attended about 2 months ago the Westwood Neighborhood Association, and the subject of Drake Road between West Main and Squires came up, and so now I can go back tomorrow night and say I got it taken care of. So just want to thank everyone who reached out to me over the Texas Township stuff, and I've been replying to those emails as far as the storm outages over the holiday weekend. I want to thank staff for their work during that and keeping up everything good. And I just want to remind everyone that the fire departments, the county got a grant to give the fire departments road closed signs for dealing with those power lines and stuff. Fire departments are eligible for reimbursement for their time from the utility companies, whereas we are not. So I think that's a good collaborative efforts through with the county. Maybe we can get them to do something as well as trees moving forward as well. So, and I want to thank staff for the presentations we gave at the county. I thought it went very well. Thought we got some positive comments from commissioners at the end of the meeting. I asked them to be patient with us as we work through this. I want to thank staff for coming up with what I think is a very good compromise as far as coming down from the 8,000 trees to the 4,000 and even more adjustments on the lower speeded roads depending on slopes and other factors as well. So I think we did we'll be very proud of what the job we did, I think, and continue to move forward. Hearing no other business, a motion to adjourn would be in order. All in favor of adjournment, say aye. The motion is approved. All meetings adjourned. Be good.